Today we're talking about the very latest in Project Scarlett news, Gears of War 5, and more. Let's go! So the primary goal of today's video is to inform you guys of the latest and greatest information regarding the next generation Project Scarlett, all of the things that have happened over the past week. There have been several developers come out and speak of their excitement for the platform, some of the capability of the platform, what certain parts inside of this platform is going to do for their games, and we're going to cover it all here. So if that's the kind of stuff you're into, hit that subscribe button, stick around. We'll be talking about the next Xbox and even the PlayStation 5 all the way up till release. But first, let's start with Gears of War 5. What is undoubtedly Xbox's biggest game this year is hitting in full force this September, starting with an open technical test. And if you weren't aware, you can actually start downloading that technical test now, a multiplayer beta if you will, right now, if you are a subscriber to Game Pass Ultimate or have the Ultimate Edition pre-ordered. So again, that technical test starts on the 19th. I will see you guys there. Let's get into Project Scarlett. We got 4 different articles here today. You know, I like to get to the point, so let's get right into it. GameStop executive saying, hey, we are very, very happy that these things have disk drives. Now, I figured I would cover this real quick because we get people in this very comment section that are curious as to if the next Xbox will even have a disk drive. Yes, it seems like a no-brainer to many of us, but hey, you know, I can't blame people for being a bit confused, especially after the announcement and release of the Xbox One S All-Digital Edition. Rest assured, if you have a lot of physical media, if you're really wanting that disk drive, it will be there for those who want it. After all, it is still a significant portion of the market. Physical media still has a foothold, and I don't think you'll see physical media go anywhere anytime soon. They may cut that out in a slim version of the Project Scarlett somewhere down the line, but as of right now, plan on having that disk drive day one. Now, while GameStop executives are talking about disk drives and the fact that they can survive a little bit longer, others are talking about the actual solid-state flash memory that will be inside of the next generation Xbox and PlayStation for that matter. We got 2 articles talking about the SSDs in the next Xbox. The first one, an Exception developer talking about the significant boost to performance with open world titles. Now, this has actually got a lot to do with streaming. As you walk along in something like Witcher 3 or even something like Horizon Zero Dawn, anything where you've got assets constantly flowing into and out of the RAM, that involves heavy streaming. And with slower hard drives like those in the current generation PlayStation and Xbox, this can create a massive bottleneck, even to the point where just saving the game while out and about or streaming in new assets can cause hitching in the game itself. Solid-state drives alleviate this altogether. Not only that, but that bandwidth is used to support higher resolution assets and textures, all while keeping that operating system and background tasks of that console you are on super snappy and responsive. Microsoft and Sony are both going big with SSD storage. They're putting all the chips on these hard drives, and you know what? As somebody who has a lot of experience working on and even gaming on solid-state memory, you're talking about 20-second load times instead of 2-minute load times on games like Metro Exodus. And for games with normal, medium-sized load times, you're talking about much faster load times than that. All while making everything else more cohesive, more snappy, more responsive, more premium feeling. Memory is a big bottleneck for these consoles. Glad to see Microsoft and Sony are getting rid of these issues. Now, just so we're clear, the Exception dev says that pretty much all games will benefit from SSD technology. Of course they will, but those that are of the streaming variety, meaning open world type games, will have massive performance benefits, and of course, you know, that just eases the load on everything else. The best part of these next consoles is not only are you going to have super fast load times, but games that allow streaming in of assets like any kind of open world titles is going to be much more consistent, smooth, and due to that new Zen 2 CPU setup, you're going to be able to actually play that at double the frame rate on top of all of these other things. You're talking about 60 FPS here on modern games that are very demanding on the CPU. And yes, as dumb as it may seem to some of you, yes, Microsoft are looking to 120 frames per second on select titles. No, not at 8K or anything like that, but they are looking to push the envelope. So I'm sure there will be different graphical modes, much like there is today on the Xbox One X, but with the next system, you'll be able to actually choose what refresh refresh rate to display at. You can kind of do this today in the Xbox settings, but games just do not have the overhead to even achieve a fraction of 120 frames. On the next system, they will, and you'll actually be able to see all of these frames provided you have the proper display. It'll probably be a graphics option, but hey, at the end of the day, this stuff is actually happening. Again, there are multiple developers talking about these SSDs over the past week alone. It's very exciting for both developers and fans alike. Developers like Alex Golubowski of Pixelnauts, extremely excited for the potential that next generation hardware brings, including those super fast load times brought to you by those SSDs. Meanwhile, if we go back to the exception developer Will Traxler, he says that these things will be extremely easy to optimize for and develop for. He goes into further detail, saying any hardware advancements that create meaningful performance improvements means that I can spend less time on optimization and more time on content creation. Meaning, look, these things are going to be easy to develop for, which means I can spend more time actually making the game, adding and polishing the title itself. The less time I am fighting with the hardware, the more time I can put into features and content. Not to mention performance, visuals, the game overall will just be better. So yeah, developers talking about the next generation Xbox and again, the PlayStation 5. Pretty interesting things, and while not completely new things that you've not heard on this channel before, I like to show you that developers are saying the same thing that I've been saying as well. I like to back up what I've been saying that this is going to do for you by showing you what the developers themselves are saying that these things are going to do for you. Let me know if you are excited for these systems down below and what you want from them most. Personally, I want higher frame rates, 60 FPS on games like Assassin's Creed, open world titles like the next Elder Scrolls, and more. I want that performance improvement, and that's something Phil Spencer has been talking about for a long time now. So I think we will actually get some really good frame rates on some of these games. But hey, again, this is the latest on the system. Every single week will probably bring us some new information, so be sure and subscribe. Be sure and hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, maybe learn something today. Share this with a buddy or two, especially during such dry times. It really helps more than you know. And as always, check out those links down below. If you want to support the channel, check out that Patreon link down below, or if that's not an option, consider hitting that join button next to the subscribe button. Just two ways that you can help support the content that you enjoy watching. But hey, the pitch is over. Thanks for rocking out with me, guys. You guys are the best. I am Dealer. I am out.